Welcome back to Property Plus.
We'll now move on to our next session. I'd like to invite Mr. Isaac Jacob from Somaya Institute of Management Studies and Research to give his keynote address on marketing in the downturn.
Thank the International Advertising Association and the Sakshi Group to have given me this opportunity to speak to you on marketing in a downturn. It's a great opportunity for marketers, and I'll tell you why. Let's look at what are the strategic intent as far as marketing during this particular period itself. Marketing, incidentally, is trying to adjust itself to various trends, various things, various changes that actually happen. It is only a very different situation that you actually find in when you look at it from the point of view of a downturn, where because of various factors, things don't move, the number of customers coming into the market is far less than perhaps somewhere else or some other time, for instance, as such. The whole idea is how would you be able to really adjust your marketing mix, and more importantly, look at cost-effective way of meeting the needs of the customer. There would be customers who come into the marketplace during this particular period also. So the whole idea is how would you be able to really adjust your marketing mix, look at it differently, look at the possibilities and look at the opportunities that are there during this particular specific period itself. I hope you can see this, because with the lights on, I think, can you, is it okay? Okay, let's look at the strategic intent. The thought is gain more and therefore spend less. How would you be able to do that? Now this is where frugality really comes into force, and gaining more, I think the more important factor is to look at it from the point of view of certain parameters. If you look at, for instance, increased awareness for your brand during this particular period, and I'll give you reasons for that. So we talk about survival strategies, what is called, what are the kind of things that you would do perhaps, a little different, little, away, thoda hatke, for instance, in terms of really making use of the opportunity or getting the opportunities running as such. We'll also look at some marketing tools. And how would you be able to really do that? The opportunity, as one sees it, is that aggressive marketing in a downturn is the best time to gain awareness and market momentum. You can get tremendous marketing momentum during this particular period. Most of the brands during this particular period actually jockey for a position in the marketplace based on the fact that somebody else is not doing certain things as such, and you get that a little undue advantage, if I may use the term as such. So perhaps there's no other time that could be easier or perhaps even cheaper to really gain the high ground in the marketplace as such as a downturn. So I look at it as an opportunity. If I were to be the marketer, I would look at it as an opportunity and try and actually figure out what are the kind of strategies that would perhaps work in a downturn itself. So certain survival guidelines. Monitor your competitors. Simple, short stuff. Competitors are doing certain things. They will try and neutralize what you are doing. Also find out what you could do to neutralize what they are doing as such. If they are cutting back seriously, consider increasing your marketing budget. In fact, that is what Mohanbir Sawhney has been saying. He says that if your quantum of spend and if your share of mind is higher in a particular situation where the competitors are not spending, then you tend to get the high ground as far as the share of mind and share of the heart of your customers are concerned during this particular period as such. So jockey for a better position and a stronger position during this particular period. That's what I would perhaps recommend as such. It's a little away from what you guys are thinking. And incidentally, there are no quick fix solutions in marketing. Let's be very clear. We have to logically think through. We have to find out as to what's happening in the marketplace, and maybe certain things that you would do right. And it's incidentally, in the downturn, you also have a very big advantage of finding out which particular marketing program is working for you and which is not. And therefore, and you are actually, the cost of a program that has not worked perhaps is far less than what you would otherwise have spent in an upswing, for instance, as such. So therefore, it's a good way of finding out how the marketing mix really is working. The other thing is avoid gimmicks. Focus your message on the benefits and advantages of your product and service. More important, people are looking for benefits. The other one to look at is use direct response advertising. And direct response advertising literally gives you the kind of leads, number one, and if you are well structured in terms of really fulfillment, you can even convert leads into actual business. And that's, I think, the crux of really handling a particular situation or a untoward situation, as one would like to say. If you really look at it, so how to really convert. And today we have the wherewithal of really looking at it from the point of view of a direct mailer giving you the response and then having a voice to actually direct customers or convert customers or make them into hot leads and then convert them over a period of time. So therefore, use strong copy but simple copy, convincing content. Don't really put in any this thing. Don't forget to have a strong call for action. This is, I think, critical. Action to close. Perhaps there are a lot many more customers who are buying your product because of the emotional and psychic value that you can actually embed into the value proposition in your brand itself. So that's what the other way to look at is to basically look at very significantly what does focus on specific target segment, profiling them crisply, and strong brand position. I think this is the basics of brand management and marketing, for instance, STP. Now, STP has to be significantly crisper during this particular period of time, and therefore you get the best results out of this. Know your target segment, which are the most responsive. Incidentally, BMW and Mercedes have done some geo-demographic profiling of their audiences. So spend every rupee carefully and, more importantly, efficiently and effectively. I think during this particular period, when the bucks are basically not to be spent, you look at it spending it very effectively as such. So the more important factor is have a thought through game plan. Mindless thinking doesn't work. Astute thinking. So marketing tools, without of course taking the thunder out of Preeti and Charulata, there are a lot of these things which we need to also look at. For instance, branding. Branding is critical. Creates trust, stronger trust, greater credibility, and a stronger identity will definitely get you there as such. It's a great opportunity for you to do that as such. Print collaterals, very important. Believability, leave behinds, important as such, specifically in the area of real estate marketing. Advertising, don't ever look at not using traditional media. Way you can take your brand through print, radio, and also in terms of how would you be able to look at it from the point of view of outdoor, for instance. These are three medium you could use, but the proportion perhaps you need to rejig and look at traditional advertising versus digital marketing. I would go full swing. I would really put in all my firing power into digital, and I'll give you a reason why for that as we go by. So whether it's direct mail and telemarketing for conversion, signage and outdoors, environmental graphics, these are things that will actually give you a lot of, a huge amount of saliency during various times as such. Online technology, etc., networking, trade shows, augmented reality. Augmented reality today, walkthroughs and things like that are becoming more and more important, specifically if you can afford walkthroughs. Build your media campaign with a judicious mix of traditional and new media. Build traditional media including print, outdoor, radio, we just spoke about it. How would you be able to create brand saliency, customer engagement, conversion and buzz through digital marketing is what you need to basically look at. And digital marketing is a big asset that you have in terms of an arsenal that you have in terms of your marketing mix as such, and a judicious mix will ensure effective. Just some numbers, let me throw out. This is, everybody knows about it. We are at 42,000 odd crores, going up to about 49,000 crores. More importantly, look at this, 37% growth in terms of digital media. Strong, very strong. India is second largest internet user. So if you're not on internet, I think you've lost out on a big medium. Don't ever get into that. Bad planning, for instance. Social media, very critical. because you will be able to attract, engage, convert and inspire your customers using social media. I will not going to dwell on this too much, only because SEM and other things are basically something you can actually use to convert. Some of the things that has been done for, I just took some example from a 3 BHK flat in Borivali, for instance, is a Google thing, and the kind of, you know, responses that has been got for this 92believe.com on Borivali. This thing is pretty significantly high. I'll show you some numbers as we go by. The whole idea is that when you look at it from the point of view of hour and conversion rates, it goes across. It goes across time. And in an hour, you'll find that, or in a day, hour doesn't matter, it's actually conversion that across quite a few of the number of hours that actually come through. For instance, we looked at this, the 92, the conversion cost for live spaces, Rajesh live space about 880 odd. Some of the conversion costs are stupendously high. Why social media? Because 92% of media content actually comes through from social media as such. Not only that, data never sleeps. We may be sleeping, but data never sleeps. People are always on some particular form or the other, and therefore make use of this particular possibility as such. Let me give you some examples. This is some very interesting examples, ads that I actually picked up. Husband left us for a 22-year-old, house for sale. Why am I saying all these things? Look at this. This lamb sells condos. The name of the real estate guy is Lamb. He sells condominiums. Display ads also give you in the face kind of a thing that actually comes in as a very interesting way of actually, selling the proposition to the customers. This of course is using mantra properties. This is the example that I gave you. I was talking about Janapriya. They went on to housing.com, and housing.com has got a very interesting, this thing which is called, it's called the slice view. You go on to that and you click on to a Janapriya property, for instance. It will actually take you through almost like a walkthrough into the 5th floor or the 6th floor or the 7th floor, whichever you want to go. I'm sure you guys have actually seen this. A very interesting way of really selling it, and I'm told that this of course is the other part. You can actually see a slice cut of the kind of view which actually gets almost augmented reality as far as your property itself is concerned. Other things are of course road shows, parties, etc. All you guys are all into it, and therefore engagement marketing can be basically brought about as far as parties, road shows and other things are concerned.
Thank you very much, Professor Jacob. I request our Director Marketing, Mr. KRP Reddy, to come onto the dais to give a small memento to our guest speaker today. I request Ms. Charulata Ravikumar to come onto the dais. She's the CEO of Razorfish India, and she's also a columnist. Ms. Charulata Ravikumar.
Before I start, I just want to thank Mr. Swami for arranging a live orchestra in this room as well while the presentations are going on. I think the context has been set really well, because the first part was to really give us a perspective on where the industry is going. And the second part, Professor, I think really put a good perspective in terms of where really your marketing spends need to go today. So just a quick introduction of Razorfish. It was introduced. A lot of people think either we sell razors or we sell fish. We do neither. We're actually a digital agency and a technology company. So we look into marketing, digital marketing for today, and as well as we have centers, R&D centers in the US where we develop technologies of the future. So what we're going to take you through today is some of the stuff that you need to prepare yourself for the future. So a lot of things can be done today, as Professor was taking you through in terms of marketing, but really the future is where you need to really keep ahead with. And I think some of the markets, some of the real estate players in markets like Mumbai, Delhi are a little more into it in terms of keeping themselves ready for the future. How much of that they will be able to leverage is another thing to see. So here's an insight into some of that. Very quickly, the 4 things that become really important is elevated consumer expectations. So consumers are expecting a lot more from your organizations. And blurring competitive context. So again, it was mentioned that you need to be very, very aware of competition. But if I were to ask some of you, who's in real estate here? Good question. The biggest myth in your minds, right? So for example, I was talking to a cement organization, one of our clients, and we asked them, who do you think is your competitor? And they started naming all the other cement organizations, and we kept telling them no. the next competitor to your organization is really going to come from who says Asahi Glass or Saint-Gobain can't be your competitor. So they said, no, that's an alternative, precisely the point. Your alternatives could become your competitors. Who says that the glass companies are not going to create such strong hardened glass that can replace cement and walls, right? And there are lots of more examples like that. For example, whoever said that, whoever thought, Johnson & Johnson never thought that Mahindra is going to get into baby care. That's a huge competitive space. And look at Asian Paints, for example, right? Godrej Furniture thought that they were the first ones to ever get into retailing of furniture. And here's Asian Paints that's giving a competition to it. Now, Asian Paints is also giving a competition to people like Jacquard, to Hindware, to all of them. So here's a paint company that's actually getting into all the spaces that it can to complete its offering in homeware and home care, right? So your competition can come from anywhere else. It need not come from people sitting in this room. And that's something you need to start thinking right now, saying, where is it going to come from next? Right? Cost pressures, of course, we talked a bit about it earlier, so I won't dwell on that too much. Changing business models. A lot of models on how you actually market your business is changing quite a bit. So real estate category digital report. A quick report on the category. I'll run through this a bit fast. If you want any more numbers and analysis, you can reach out to us and we'll let you know. 37% of the social conversations, and this is taken April, June 2015, on real estate and luxury housing were about Lodha, right? And this is an all India search that we were doing to just, this is particularly being done to just showcase to you. So look at the amount of spend someone like Lodha is doing. So if you look at, and they've also reached out to different markets. They may be operating in certain pockets, but they're reaching out all over India, right? And if you look at all the other numbers, that's Lodha, Runwal, DLF, Unitech, Oberoi, Hiranandani, Kalpataru, Bestech, etc. So a lot of the southern brands are not featuring that yet, okay? So you're obviously going a little more local, while those have started going national in terms of their advertising spends on digital. So here's the aggregators. However, having said that, the aggregators occupy the top 10 positions in real estate category. Okay, it's not real estate brands, but it's aggregators that's actually getting there. And despite the niche nature, strangely enough, even if someone is looking for a studio apartment or a 1-bedroom or 1 BHK, is actually looking for luxury apartments, right? And that's something you need to keep in mind. Buying a house is a dream for no matter how much the house owner is willing to spend. They're looking at, if I put in even 10 lakhs in my house, or in Mumbai, of course, you'll be sleeping on the streets at 10 lakhs, but if you put in even a 30 lakh kind of a chawl apartment in Mumbai, or any other part of the world, they believe they're buying themselves a luxury apartment, right? So any property that you look at has to project itself as a luxury apartment. High yearly search trend for real estate in New Delhi, Gurgaon and Bangalore. These are the 3 cities where we had very, very high searches happening. There is, I will show you where Hyderabad is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's coming in number 6 and there's a red dot and a purple dot, that's it. So in terms of what they're looking at 2 BHKs largely in this city. So there are some myths, the 4 myths of lead generation and how can you really give more impact to lead generation in this industry. So 4 myths would be, one of them, it's about lead generation, not lead management, okay? It's not enough to just generate lead. And a lot of people feel that, you know, we've generated something like 10,000 leads in a month, we're doing great. 20,000, even better. No, it's about how you manage the lead, and I'll come to that later. Auto response is a substitute for personalized response. It's absolutely not. We actually have in our organization people who 24 hours monitor the kind of responses that come in on social listening. And there are auto responses set in place. Of course, we need auto responses, but very quickly in the morning, the person looks at all the auto responses to understand which one needs personalized response as well. Only 2% of online leads are valid leads. That's not true at all, okay? And that's what a lot of people believe, but it's not. It's also about how we are responding to them and how do they convert into more valid leads becomes really important. So numbers actually would look at, globally some of the numbers are like almost 40%, 30 to 40% leads are really valid leads. Validating it correctly is the problem. It's not the leads that are, the quality of leads that are a problem. The salesman title is good enough to convert. I think that's the biggest change that the industry needs to make is the quality of salesman. Salesmen cannot convert. Salesmen can just go and make an initial pre-sale, but they can't convert. And who you hire as salesman becomes extremely important. You need to really go through that in a big filter. How many things are happening today in social media or in anything on digital? It's such a flood, it's such a flood. You don't even know how your time goes away in doing most of this, right? I stay away from it. Personally, I don't like to spend all my time, although we run the digital and tech company, but I believe that I don't like to spend too much of my time here. So how do you connect with someone like me? I'm not going to be on a Facebook and Twitter all day long. But what is this mix that you're going to look at? You need to see your assets beyond the properties, okay? A lot of real estate people believe that they built this wonderful palace, they built this wonderful property. It's good enough and people will come to it. They won't come to it. You need to build other assets around it, and we call them digital assets because these are the things that are currently pulling and keeping people with you. And in fact, many of them get value. And Professor also referred to the website being so critical, and we'll see some examples of how you can make your website a lot more worthy. Tap the dream, make it informative, and make it responsive. Content, that's the second pillar. It's got to be relevant, informative, and very shareable. Today, if your content is not shareable, people are not interested. Scott Karp's Real Estate, all information needed, purely browsing or keen to buy, and they've got the entire search button really up front. That's useful because I'm interested in that. The quality of the pictures, you have to have bright pictures. You can't have nighttime pictures. People want to see bright pictures. The environment where you live as a neighborhood becomes really expensive. They've got that upfront. So if you scroll through their site, you can actually see this part a little bit more on the first page itself because they're leading you into it. The first page doesn't, it's very scientifically done. A prominent real estate search bar above the fold, which you see there, appealing neighborhood, listing photos, and plenty of copy detailing Karp's value proposition and the market. So a lot of copy is written very sharply. Don't get someone in your office to write copy because you want to cut corners and save on cost, because that is the one thing that people look at, read, and get attracted to what you're saying, right? So as you scroll up, listings are featured, and this is a very interesting thing. While they're showcasing all the properties, some of the really premium properties, Scott Karp, Boca Raton, Rialto, whatever, is by membership and by invitation. So they're actually making it seem exclusive. So you still want to be part of the Scott. So there's a smaller Mercedes you can buy, but the big one that's being showcased is what you can't buy, but that's the one you aspire to have. If you can tell me which brand this is, right? A very important thing is don't just look at what real estate is doing. In the digital space, it's very important to look at cross brands and learn from them, because a lot of brands which are not in this infrastructure and real estate category are really way ahead in terms of creating digital assets. So you should constantly have someone in your organization visiting some of the best websites, looking at what the best brands in the world are doing, and take a leaf out of that. It may have nothing to do with real estate, but that's what's going to work for you. So here's a brand. A clue is that it's not real estate, but this brand is considered a gold standard and a benchmark in anything digital that it's done and built itself. Their content is all about television, live, sports, music, global series. It's all about the kind of properties they're creating to appeal to the young audience. It's a young brand, very young audience, and it showcases, and it is the top brand. It's one of the top brands of the world. But they do not talk about their product. In fact, their website has nothing to do with their product really. It comes much later. So that's Red Bull, right? So if you look at it, now it reveals Red Bull music, stories, etc. Red Bull Tour Bus India. Then they talk about the properties as IPs that they're creating. This is a must visit to see how the best websites can be built. The largest residential real estate firm in New York City. Now this one you better get, otherwise you definitely owe me a flat. So this is a very interesting case. It's one of the largest New York-based real estate company. And the key thing about them is they're making themselves searchable. Okay? One thing is to create assets. But if you don't make yourself searchable, it's a completely waste of time and money and effort on the assets you're creating. They are everywhere. It's making itself available for buyers, sellers. They have a Do More tab on their Facebook page, which enables them to be highly searchable. They're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Foursquare, Gowalla, and they're also on Tumblr, Blip TV, and Vimeo, and they're everywhere. They're spending money and effort to be everywhere because that's what they believe they need to be. The other interesting thing that they're doing, and this is the last clue and then you have to answer, is their director of internet marketing and their CEO are constantly creating videos on not just the properties, but on the market itself. When the market took a downturn, they talked about in this downturn market, what to do, what kind of properties to look for. So they are giving a lot of content which is informative, which is interesting, and is one of the most searched sites in real estate. This is a video I'm going to play for you. Geolocation is a hot trend these days. What is Korkaran? Korkaran is the brand name. Korkaran is really big in real estate, doing with this idea. In India, Ultratech is actually doing a really good job in terms of putting together the content and their website. Their website is very interactive. Their website is very responsive. They've also been building a bit of an ecosystem saying Ultratech Studios, which brings together all the influencers, and Ultratech Building Solutions, which goes beyond just cement. It's getting together everybody all the stakeholders in the ecosystem, like the contractors, the designers, the architects, and the consumer, all on one platform to try and find solutions for all of them in the same place. Creating impactful UGC, which is user-generated content. So if there are any such that you don't understand, please raise your hand. So creating user-generated content opportunities and generating conversations around it. This is a really interesting thing because you want more and more of your consumers, of your customers to talk about it and post videos and start sharing. So you want to generate user stuff because it also saves on cost. It's really easy. You don't have to develop videos and things around it. This premium card is $30,000 aimed at an entirely new Gen Y, okay. However, this brand had a little bit of an older person image while quite premium, and the younger people in Gen Y did not want to really buy it. Because Gen Y's format of communication was mostly visual, we actually looked at how can we really take this across and build appeal to Gen Y. Their challenge was to take the wheel, right? So we said, okay, we picked 5 big bloggers and 5 of the best people that a lot of people follow. Don't change the slide, yeah? And we said, you take this car for the next 7 days, post pictures with this car, riding it, doing whatever, and post pictures on Instagram. And they were the people who had some of the biggest followers. So the 6-week program got 87 million plus organic impressions. Now, just to tell you, organic impressions is where you don't really have to pay for it, and it comes into your website through Instagram, etc. You don't have to pay to be searched, right? Inorganic is where you actually have to be paying it. And over 2 million likes. Now that is huge. 2 million likes is huge because it's not easy to get that, right? But because we chose the right influencers and created the right program around it, even the campaign trailer got us about 11.5 million times across YouTube and all the other social channels.
ప్రాపర్టీ ప్లస్లో షార్ట్ బ్రేక్ తీసుకుందాం. బ్రేక్ తర్వాత రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ రంగం పైన ప్రముఖులు ఏమంటున్నారో ఆ విశేషాలను చూద్దాం.